Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for April of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Okay, let's take a look at what's happening in April. Hello, Cancer. Let's start with Ceres. Ceres is traveling along retrograde this month. She's been retrograde since the beginning of February, and she'll be retrograde until the beginning of May. So it gives us 3 months to kind of reconfigure our finances, which is Ceres' chief job when she's traveling retrograde. Ceres has to do with the things that connect us with the physical world, our bodies, the food we eat, the money we make, and how it all supports us and sustains us for health and longevity. And whenever Ceres goes retrograde, these things can go awry, and they can just kind of bring stuff right up and put it in your face about how maybe you've been letting your organization slip in terms of how you handle your finances, how you do your budgeting, your spending, saving, earning, and also food and eating can be affected very much when Ceres is retrograde too. Now, Ceres went retrograde in the 4th house in the sign of Libra. And for that reason, I've been calling this a financial rebalancing period. And I absolutely stand by that, even though Ceres has retrograded back into Libra. And so now her work is sort of giving a little bit different tone, which is to say she's now focusing very much on the details. She's like digging around in the details and asking, did you correct all the columns in that spreadsheet where you were figuring out your budget for the month? Is that why the numbers look all wonky? Did you, check in with your diet coach? Did you call your nutritionist? Did you, shop for the right food that you need to cook this week to eat in the way that you should be eating for your body? So Ceres has really got her eye on the details. And traveling backward into your 3rd house the way she does, there's a bit of a risk here because this is not Ceres' favorite house. In fact, this is Ceres' least favorite house. And the reason for that is that Ceres is really a very practical goddess, but the 3rd house is a very abstract realm. So when Ceres gets into the 3rd house, she kind of starts to abstract away some of the very concrete details of what she's doing. And in particular, what Ceres is really, really good at is letting you know through your body, through how it feels to be in your body, through any kinesthetic intuition triggers that you might have, like, a prickling on the back of your neck or a cold runner down your spine or whatever it is, your intuitive thing. She's really good at giving you wisdom through things that are very physical. And it's very much harder for her to do that when she's in your 3rd house. Instead, you might find that you're thinking about these things and just thinking and perhaps overthinking and trying to make plans about how to eat, but without actually checking your tummy, and your gut. And you may be thinking about, how to make better financial plans or spreadsheets, but without actually checking the reality of your situation. So Ceres wants you to stay grounded, even though she's traveling through the 3rd house. And as I said, Ceres will be retrograde until early May. And so we'll talk about this again next month. I want to talk about Juno next. She's traveling on through Taurus and your 11th house. Juno is an asteroid goddess very much to do with partnership, especially committed partnership, which can be personal, as in a spouse or long-term relationship. and can also be a business partner, or it's possible that you engage in a business that is partnership oriented, where you are consulted by people and you help them to solve problems or figure stuff out in their own life with your advice. And any way that you may experience Juno in your own life, when she comes into your 11th house, this really amps up your social life. The 11th house is a house of community and tribe. It's the house of friends, the people of like mind that you feel a sense of belonging with. And Juno is quite the networker and matchmaker. She loves to get out there, be the social maven, and introduce people that to each other that should know each other. That, you know, it will strengthen your social network if those people know each other. And so she might have you very busy doing those sorts of things while she's traveling through the 11th house. She's going to be in your 11th house for the rest of the month, whereupon at May 1st, she's going to move on into Gemini and enter your 12th house. So I'll talk about that next month. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mercury, Venus, and Mars for the Cancers of the world this month?
Well, hello, Cancer. We are entering into another Mercury retrograde season. There are 3 every year. We had one in between 2022 and 2023, but now we have a full one that's really covering this. Well, it's no longer a new year, but Mercury starts off in your 10th house direct. It's only there for a couple of days, but for the very beginning of the month, your mind really might be on your career or maybe even on your public reputation. Maybe you're wondering if people are gossiping about you or how you can kind of come off to other people in a better light. Then by April 3rd, Mercury enters your 11th house. This house is super social. It represents your friends. It represents any groups you're a part of. So at this point, you might be socializing a lot more with your friends, maybe going out for drinks or dinner or, connecting online. But by the 21st, Mercury is going to go retrograde here. And this can definitely be a time of miscommunications with the people in your social circles, whether they're in groups you're a part of, like teams, unions, societies, clubs, other organizations, or even just, your basic friendship circle. This can also be a time, because this house represents more than your social life, it's also your long-term goals, where you really have to review some of your long-term goals. Maybe you're wondering, okay, is this really achievable? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to re-strategize in order to get what I really want in life? Then Venus, the planet that rules your relationship, she begins in the 11th house as well. So again, this is the social house. Venus is another very social planet. So a lot of social activity this month. The first 10 days, it also might be particularly fun, particularly lovely, because Venus is a pleasurable planet. So maybe your friends do something to benefit you in some way. This could be a great time to go out shopping with friends if you like doing that sort of thing, because Venus is also a beauty planet. Or if you're not into the shopping consumerism, maybe going out to museums with your friends or doing something highly aesthetic like wine tasting, for example. Then by April 10th, Venus is going to enter your 12th house. And when Venus is in the 12th, remember, this is a house of isolation. Venus can also represent your romantic relationship. So if you do have a partner, you might just want to spend a little time alone with them, not go out in the world, not party up on the town. The 12th house can be a place of sort of help, I guess, and service. So maybe your partner is going through a bit of a rough time and you have to really be there for them, and maybe that experience bonds you guys a little bit further. Venus in the 12th can have kind of a selfless vibe on her higher level. Venus in the 12th probably would not be the best time to do anything to beautify your looks or appearance, because the 12th house, it's a little bit of a challenging place. So I would kind of hold off if you are going to try a whole new hairstyle, for example. I'd put that off until a little bit later, maybe next month. And then finally, Mars, the planet of activity, the planet of drive. It's all month in your first house. So with Mars in the first, this is a time of personal energy for you. This can be a fabulous transit if you, for example, want to start a new health routine. The first house is your physical body. And it's really, I like to think of the first house as the house of health. I know people think of the sixth house as being a health house, but I think of the sixth as being more a house of illness, whereas the first house is really your physical body, which is your fundamental health platform. So this is really fabulous for getting a new workout routine in, like find ways to get out that energy any way you can, because the challenge of Mars in the first house is you might be a little bit prone to letting it loose on someone. This could be a time of overly asserting yourself, making mountains out of molehills, for example. If other people are giving you feedback that you're getting a bit too feisty, I think it's a good idea to just take it and maybe go for a nice long walk.
Yeah. And I was thinking when you were talking about that, Venus in the 12th house is not the best time for changing one's personal style, that it might be better to just spend the rest of the month thinking about it, and sort of
Yes.
like
Oh,
gathering
dreaming it.
ideas about it, dreaming
That is a
it,
great idea.
researching it. And
Yes.
then next month, when Venus moves into your first house,
Ah,
Cancer,
I love
yeah,
that. I think that's actually
definitely
really good.
go and actually get that haircut.
Mhm.
Hi, Jamie here. Before we continue, I just want to take a quick moment to thank you for watching this video. And if you're enjoying this content, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Our lowest tier starts at just $5 a month and gives you early access to these monthly horoscope readings. Your support helps keep this content free. The link can be found in the description box below. Thanks again, and let's get back to the video. All right, let's talk about moons. So the first of this month's moons is happening on April 5th. And let's see, there's that moon sitting there in the fourth house, which is just lovely. And it's lovely also because it's in Libra, but when the moon appears in your fourth house, it just makes home such a cozy place to be. And Cancer, because you have Libra, the sign of Libra in your fourth house, you generally like to have home be beautiful and gracious and peaceful and well appointed, with fine design principles incorporated. And this can be a great moon for that. However, I want to tell you that there is a bit of a fly in the ointment, in the sense that there are a couple of Aries placements up here that are opposing that moon, and that they're kind of rabble rousing, and they're doing that in your 10th house, which is the arena of career. So there may be some uproar, possibly somebody who's angry, and it might be you, or it might be a boss, or somebody, kind of, perhaps polluting is too strong of a word to use, but like, negatively impacting your work environment with some ragey vibes. And you may find that you want to retreat to your home life just so that you can find your balance again and find your way back to that place of peacefulness and tranquility. And so finding the balance between those two areas of life during this moon is going to be really important to do. Now, the other moon I want to talk about is the one coming up on the 19th, and it's pretty important because it's an eclipse. Now, we have eclipses, they come in pairs or sets, spaced 2 weeks apart, and they happen every 6 months. So this is the first eclipse of this season, and it's going to be followed by another eclipse that's going to happen next month. And of course, I'll tell you about it when we get there, but here we are. It's the new moon in Aries in your 10th house. And it is also a solar eclipse. And we know that because the North Node is here very close to this moon. Now, that North Node also brings in a feeling of destiny, which is to say that this moon can feel like it has impact and import that echoes far into the future by years or even lifetimes. Now, eclipses have a special purpose. They happen to show us our shadow. As human beings, we're pretty limited. We don't have, a limitless way of being that we do when we're not in the body. But while we're in the body, we're pretty limited and we can't really see behind ourselves. And we don't even want to see behind ourselves. And what's behind us is our shadow. And this is, a Jungian concept from Carl Jung, who invented archetypal psychology. And he did that because he was an astrologer, by the way, which he didn't. I think Freud was not a fan of that, but, whatever. We got a whole great branch of psychology out of it. So, so what I'm saying is that eclipses show us our shadow, the stuff that we don't like to look at every day and that we'd rather remain unconscious of. And when you get a solar eclipse like this landing in your 10th house, you've really got to watch out for unconsciously driven behaviors that have you kind of blowing it in your career. So be really cautious about that. You might find yourself becoming angry, becoming like assertive, like exploding a bit, especially if you've been sitting on something, that has been building up for a while, and that, you just really about had it with that thing. So under this eclipse, watch out for that kind of thing. This eclipse has some other wonderful features, which I'm going to let you find out about in the video that we made about it, which you can find on our forecast page. So go to pandoraastrology.com and find the forecast page, and there you'll see the video about it. We've called this eclipse Volcanic Actions Tempered by Sympathy. And you can find out how to draw on sympathy and empathy to help this eclipse go a lot more smoothly. And you can also find out about this month's other moon there as well. So the very next day after this eclipse, we have the seasonal change. So if we are to look at this month over time, the days of this month, we see that there's this migration of planets over into the sign of Taurus, and that earlier in the month, there was a big concentration here in Aries. And over the course of the month, you'll see those planets moving along. And here at this point, April 20th, the sun joins a pile of planets here in the 11th house, and the 10th house is starting to look pretty empty. So this migration of planets through Aries and into Taurus and out of Aries does suggest that at the beginning of the month, when all of these planets are here in your 10th house, that there's a pretty big preoccupation on career, that there is a lot of your energy and your attention is on how can I pursue my goals? How can I get myself looking better in the public eye? What can I do for my reputation? And how can I apply myself in my job to have it, really support the whole arc of my career going forward? And that would be the preoccupation while the 10th house is so full. And then later in the month, as these planets migrate over into Taurus in the 11th house, the preoccupation shifts into being more of a community thing. This is the house of friends and community networks. And with all these planets here, there's just such an emphasis on your social life or on networking socially relative to your career. So you might find yourself going out to parties, hanging out with groups, joining communities, feeling like a part of something greater, or perhaps feeling like you don't fit in a particular group and wanting to leave that and find something that is a better fit for you. And any of those is a great way to spend this transit. So in particular, though, I'm talking about the sun, and the sun usually spends about 30 days traveling along through a house. So it enters into your 11th house of community on April 20th. It'll be there for about 30 days. And while the sun is there, you want to bring your high quality attention to this area. So bring your positive attention into your friendships. Cultivate your friendships, cultivate your communities, your connections of all kinds. And the nourishing sunlight of your attention will help things to thrive and grow in this wonderful arena.
If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
We make these horoscopes for you for free, and if you appreciate it, supporting us on Patreon is the best way to show it. Share our horoscopes with your friends too. Have a beautiful April, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.